things. Now I would like to invite our chief guest of this session, and Dr. S.K. Pattanayak. And he is so let me just say a few words further, sir. Just give me 2 minutes, sir. I would like to have, so please, I know that, So anyway, so we mentioned that, but I am telling this thing from my personal interaction with Sri Pattanayak sir for last 2 years or so. And many of you who are from India, we know that he is very, very dynamic leader, very charming personality, and he holds great respects in the policy makers and the different ministries, including the Prime Minister office. And he is very influential in the policy makers. And now we know that one other thing which I would like to mention, that from the Ministry of Agriculture perspective, generally they are more interested in the development, and he is doing great job. His ministry is doing fantastic job. But at the same time, he is a big supporter of the modern technology and the research. And whenever I request him for something, I don't think that I have ever received no from him. And that's the reason that even for my conferences, when we organize, when we request him, he's always there. So this is a big thing for us, sir, from your side. And he's also the member of our governing board. So we always keep on receiving all of his support from him. In our opinion, he is the role model for not only for the other secretaries in Government of India, but for many agricultural scientists and that young generation like us. So we are very grateful to you, sir, that for coming here, and we look forward to hear your inspirational address, please, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Dr. R.S. Baroda, former DG of ICR and recipient of several awards. Dr. David Boswinson, the Director General of ICRISAT, the DDG of ICRISAT, Peter Cadbury, Dr. Rajiv Varshney, the real, what I may say, the original, what Watson and Crick discovered, DNA. He is the DNA of this particular workshop. All the distinguished scientists from different parts of the world, colleagues from different organizations, and ladies and gentlemen. I am really privileged to be here this evening, especially because ICRISAT is not only organized this function, which is addressed for a select few scientists coming from all over the world, but also the very illuminating lecture which Dr. Baroda just now mentioned. It's a great learning for me because he has set the tone and led the way forward. You have seen in his talk where we stand today and what needs to be done by the policymakers of this country. And the greatest call which he has made is for partnership. We are all doing a lot of good work around the globe. But SDG goal number 17, the partnership, there is what it lacks, and we need to concentrate in the coming days only to focus on that. We stand in the history of time in a very complex world. The population of the world has increased several fold. But it is also true that in the history of time, science and technology has seen its zenith now. The development of science and technology in the last 100 years has transformed this world, and we must take advantage of this now. All these things which you see now, there are complex problems, no doubt, but all these problems can be solved with the use of science and technology. And genomics is one such area which has been rightly identified by ICRISAT, and they are concentrating their efforts. But at the same time, we must take a leaf from what Dr. Baroda said, that it's not enough. Genomics has done the diagnostics, but we must come out with solutions. We must encourage the biotechnologist. We must firmly root ourselves in the quest for new products through the plant breeders. And he has said it so openly and nicely, logically linking the various parts. That is something, is an eye-opener. I do want to compliment every one of you, because there are many different problems in this world, and especially so agriculture. We have come a long way. No doubt this country has witnessed green revolution in the past. Dr. Paroda mentioned about a leap of 5 million tons of food grains in 1965. We witnessed a silent revolution like that, a leap of 5 million tons of pulse production between last year and this year in India. So this is not a mean achievement. And this achievement has been possible due to a set of complex factors, combinations. One is the availability of good seed, making it available to the farmers, the right sort of climate, and then ensuring that when it is produced, it is bought. And therefore, this year also, we are going to repeat the same level of production as last year, if not the same varieties or same species. We have witnessed a reduction in the area of pigeon pea, but we are witnessing an increased area under chickpea. And this, the total pulse production in India, we are hopeful that we will be reaching 24 million tons, just as we did last year. In other words, India will be reaching the level of self-sufficiency in pulse production in the current year. And this is a good news for India, but may not be good news for every country in the world. And this is, I want to say that I would like to compliment ICRISAT, particularly under the leadership of Dr. David Virginson. And we are moving, as I entered the portals of ICRISAT, we are moving from science of discovery to science of delivery. Now, with the new emphasis on science of delivery, the expectations have grown about ICRISAT, and we are hopeful that using their technology, we'll be able to benefit our small farmers for improving their livelihood. You all know that the Honorable Prime Minister of India has given a clarion call to double the income of farmers by 2022. There are skeptics whether we can really double. Yes, we can, because there is a biotechnological tool and we must make use of that. It is possible to do so, and it has been very ably demonstrated in the presentation by the speaker who spoke just before me. In this regard, new science tools like genomics, information technology, GIS, remote sensing, modeling, and most important, new institutional innovations for scaling up climate-resilient agriculture is very much needed. You were fortunate to hear our Minister for Science and Technology, Government of India, who came in the inaugural function. He highlighted the importance of science for achieving the impacts on ground, and not only through publication by undertaking scientist-centric research, but to also undertake farmer-centric research for development. He also desired that the training program and capacity building which ICRISAT is imparting to various scientists, young people, farmers, that should also grow exponentially in the days to come, and I am given to understand that he has promised help. I am very pleased that science of genomics, particularly using molecular markers, have benefited the pearl millet growing farmers in India by incorporating the downy mildew resistant genes, of which Rajiv speaks so lively. I am aware about the Center of Excellence located in ICRISAT, that they are working in collaboration with researchers from national level institutions, international level organizations, and their efforts to develop large scale molecular markers, transcript sequence data, genetic transcript and physical maps, as well as decoding the genome sequences of the ICRISAT mandated crops. The use of next generation sequencing technologies resequencing of diverse germplasm, developing cost-effective and high-throughput genotyping platforms, trait mapping, translating genomic research into developing superior product lines and crop improvement, identifying genes and pathways responsible for various biotic and abiotic stresses have led to crop improvement in chickpea, groundnut, pigeon pea, sorghum, pearl millet, and providing sequencing and genotyping services to different users, capacity building and dissemination of knowledge. This has been the hallmark of the Center of Excellence in Genomics at ICRISAT. I can also mention here that this facility is not only available to India, but also to many other countries, including our African countries. The organizers like ICRISAT have got excellent facilities, like the gene bank, which has been mentioned. They have also in a position to put together holistic solutions through convergence to benefit the farmers as well as countries to address the issues of food security, nutritional security, environmental protection, and improved livelihoods. I would just like to dwell on few points which Dr. Paroda mentioned. We all know that we have not really made use of hybrids in our system. It has been in only few crops. Particularly, we have seen a marked improvement of use of hybrids in the horticultural, particularly vegetable sector, but in the crop science sector, as he mentioned, whether it is in the case of wheat or rice, we are far behind, and there is great scope for it, and especially the use of double haploid technology in maize can transform the maize sector in India, and Dr. Paroda's diagnosis should be taken to logical end, and we must step up research in this direction. Whatever is possible from the Department of Agriculture side will definitely help to achieve this. We all know that a state-of-the-art dedicated facility on phenomics was just dedicated to the nation and in New Delhi by our Honorable Prime Minister. This facility is created in ICAR, and I am certain this is going to also revolutionize research in the research in the areas of cutting-edge technologies. The need for thinking seriously on GM crops is not only a challenge for India, but several other countries in the world. Today, I may say it openly that the leading GM companies in the world are all based in Europe. But they are the nations, the European countries, have consistently opposed the spread of GM crops. Yet the money collected from all around the world actually is going to Europe. This is a thing you must ponder before we think about a regulatory framework to accept genetic modified technology in our country. We have all seen the success of GM crops in the case of cotton. Maybe the hesitation is not there because cotton is not an edible crop. But there has been hesitation in accepting this GM technology in the case of edibles. A regulatory framework does exist, but we need to fast forward it. And as he rightly said, we need policy advocacy in this area. And therefore, I would request all the members of the scientific community to effectively communicate whether it is really the safety issues of GM crops should be openly discussed with the consumers of the country. Somehow or other, we have not been able to communicate ourselves properly, but maybe if we communicate, this particular doubt will be removed and there may be acceptance, better acceptance of this technology. I was reading in an article on GM crops, it mentioned that every farmer loves a GM crop, but it is not the consumer. So therefore farmers want it, but consumers don't want it. So the question is not about acceptance of GM crop. The question is how well we can communicate to the consumer that the GM crop is not harmful, and therefore if biosafety issues are addressed, there should not be problem. How much evidence is enough evidence? Very right question on the slide. We must all welcome that. And the solution lies in the hands of the scientists to communicate. Just like a doctor says, you take this medicine, it is good for your health, you must also be able to communicate the same way with the consumers. Coming to the suggestion of Center for Excellence in Plant Breeding, I think that's the need of the hour. I think ICR should be encouraged to accept this particular demand, and a time has come that we need to redouble our efforts in this direction. The use of, he has mentioned about wild race. We are all having the genetic material in all the labs only. Nobody is making use of it, or there is not much exchange mechanism. We have facility. There is a treaty by which genetic materials can be exchanged, but somehow or other it is not made full use of. And I think if there are delays, then we can address those issues. But apart from the bureaucratic red tapeism associated with the exchange of the germplasm, the question remains, the scientific community should make use of this in a very big way and ensure that the fruits of the development reaches the public. The question is, in India, we have a different act. It is called the Plant Protection Variety and Farmer Rights Act. Many a times, this act has been cited as an obstacle to the exchange of genetic material in our country. That is also, the question lies, there is ignorance among the general community regarding this act. Our PPBRA Act has been hailed as one of the masterpieces of legislation, and very recently, when meeting took place with the UPOF, many countries like Netherlands and Germany have exhibited interest on the issue of farmer rights, and we are going to hold a particular workshop seminar in which leading scientists and the biology and the agricultural bureaucrats of different countries will be coming to Delhi to especially discuss how to protect the farmer's right and also ensure that breeder's right is not adversely affected. And there should be free flow of genetic material and also address the issue of IPR so far as some of these things are concerned. So we are hopeful that once we hold that workshop, many of the doubts will get cleared, and there will be better flow of new varieties of genetic material which will be coming into our country. And we hope that with that, we'll also witness a very transformed outlook in the area of agriculture. It's a fact that PPP is very much necessary. It is not enough that if only government keeps investing in agriculture. We need the private sector to come in a very big way. And today we live in it's a global market, and the private sector should increasingly also invest in agriculture. The need to increase investment in agriculture should be always emphasized in such meets. As rightly pointed out, the need to have 1% of GDP, maybe it is a big amount, but at least we can set the target like that so that more money flows into this sector. Unfortunately, many of the world level organizations, including the UN organizations and the CGIAR system, do not feel that more resources should be coming to research. But therefore, I would appeal through David, who is the representative of one of the CGIAR institutions, that you must raise your voice in Montpellier. You must raise your voice in FAO. I heard that one of our scientists from FAO is here. He also must raise the voice for the scientific community. If FAO thinks they should not be investing in R&D and investing only opening offices for bureaucrats, then God save this planet. So I don't have to say that. I tried to do my best. I had the fortune of meeting the IFAD chief in Delhi. I sent a message to DG ICRISAT, please do come and here meet the IFAD chief. I invited both IRI and ICRISAT, those who are within my reach, to Delhi and ensured that they have a private meeting with the president of IFAD, so that when they sanction development projects, they need to ensure that here we have the facilities and their grant or their loan component should be also dedicated to bring up innovation which farmers are doing in different parts of the country. Because whenever we do development projects in this country or any other country, many things are done locally. And these innovations are not captured. They are known locally and they die out locally. It is never scaled up. So to scale it up, it's very important that international organizations learn this and try to scale it up not only within the country, but also ensure that this knowledge is transferred to similar environment in other countries as well. So I don't want to stand between you and the, DG, and I think Peter also will be speaking. I do gather that these 2-3 days of meeting was very excellent. I did have the good fortune of participating in the Inter-Drought 5 some time back. It was a huge conference of 900 or 1,000 scientists. And today, of course, it's a more select group, more 350 scientists. And today, of course, being the last day, 100 of them are not there. They might have to catch flights and go back. I understand that. But I'm certain that your 3 days of experience must have been very good. And you will go back with good memories of not only ICRISAT, but also about India. And I'm certain once you go back, please do think of the poor farmers of this country, of your own country, because farmers may be illiterate, but they are always ready to accept new technology. Whenever there is new technology, the farmers are the first to come forward and learn it. So the more you make it people friendly, the more you make it acceptable to the farmers are going to adopt this new technology in a very big way. And if you have them in your mind, I'm certain that the world will be a much better place to live. I know there have been slides which have shown how the climate change, even temporarily reducing the total crop output, results in so much of disruptions. There are food riots. There have been so many people who do not have access to food, how they can impact. It is always there with us. So let's get out of it. And let us not think only about our country. We have millions of brethren even in other parts of the world. But of course, I must say, India is a country which, if you don't address the problem of India, you do not address the problem of the world. I say this repeatedly from every pedestal, because if India have to import rice, or India has to import wheat, which is the country which can supply it? There is no country in the world which can export rice to India if India is dependent on rice. Even China also is not able to meet its own rice. It has to get it from outside. So therefore, we have to produce for ourselves. India and China are two countries which have to produce the food for themselves. No country can supply them because of the sheer size of the population. The same thing is true of wheat, because wheat is highly susceptible to temperature variation. A 2-degree rise in temperature will bring down the production tremendously down. And we have wheat area which is confined to only a very small north, that is UP, Punjab, Haryana, and that area. So if there is I don't wish that, but in case it does happen, then the entire wheat crop will be wiped out. And to get that much of wheat from outside will disrupt the global market. And when the global market has disrupted, it is not India which is affected. Many small countries also get affected. So for food security of the world, we have to think about India. That's what the centrality of India I want to bring in through this. So therefore, and we must also understand our responsibility in this direction. We are fortunate that we have attained self-sufficiency in cereal production, that is wheat and rice. We have attained self-sufficiency in pulse production. The next challenge is to attain self-sufficiency in oilseed production, and that is the one challenge which is remaining, and I would like you to leave that problem with you. Let us bring out new varieties which can break that yield which has plateaued, and we must come up with new varieties so that we can produce the oil which we need to consume. With these words, I thank the ICRISAT, Dr. David, Peter Carberry, and my dear friend Rajiv Varshney, who has received the highest award from not only India, but also from different parts of the world. And I'm really fortunate to be to be here today, and I wish all the scientists, not only working in the Center for Excellence in ICRISAT, but also the scientists who are working in association with this center globally, because I have seen the references, I've seen the list of scientists from all over, in China, in Germany, in Australia, and so many countries. Before I part, I just want to leave one thing which I read on the flight when I came from Delhi. I was reading an article which said, a person who is born today will take the advantage of slow aging technology by which he can live 1,000 years. We have all escaped that. We cannot live 1,000 years. But technology has arrived now by which persons who are born from now onwards can take advantage of slow aging technology by which they can live 1,000 years. So this is all the beauty of genomics and genetic engineering. So I leave that as a thought with you. You know it better than me. And thank you very much. Jai Hind.